Hey everybody, welcome back and happy Wednesday. Of course, we know that that means it is Spirit Wisdom Wednesday, where we gather here together in the healing space and allow some beautiful spirit wisdom to flow through. If you are new to me, my name is Meredith, and this is my heart-centered business called the Healing Hummingbird. And what I love to do here is help healers, go-getters, spiritual go-getters, and givers reclaim their lives, receive healing, and walk down their path towards their purpose, all in the way of the hummingbird, which involves lots of joy, lightness of being, and a big, brave heart. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited that you're here. And today, Spirit wanted to talk about dreams, which if you are familiar with me, especially when I was in school, I'm kind of obsessed with dreams. I always have been. I feel like it's one of the first ways I really made a solid connection with spirit. So I'm really excited to talk about dreams today. And if you are here live, please be sure to leave a comment so that I can say hello and share the beautiful energy with you. And feel free to give this video a like or a love to make sure that we let spirit know that their messages are coming through loud and clear. So as far as dreams go, Spirit wanted to break it down in a couple different ways because with our big logical brains, we like to figure out like, what's happening? Was that real? What was that? What's the purpose of a dream? What's happening? So I'd like to break down a couple different areas of what could be happening. And they're really active right now. So I feel like they're really going to be popping in a lot to add. So the number one thing that could be happening while you're dreaming, and that definitely does happen, is that your brain is healing. Your brain has to rest after being awake all day. So if you remember a dream that's just like bizarre to the point where you can't figure it out, it's something that I like to call kind of brain static. So it could be just filled with things that you've seen and heard throughout the day, or someone who was on your mind, or it could even be something that you were worried about playing out in the dream. So that's just kind of the brain, healing itself and storing memories. And then, you get to experience a dream at the same time. So that's the least interesting thing that happens, but just keep that in mind that I like to look at things in a multifaceted way. I feel that it gives a more balanced and harmonious feeling to things. So, of course, other things that could be happening are awfully interesting because we're in an altered state. So, since we are in an altered state, it could be easier for a visitation, for example, to happen. So you could be visited by someone, a loved one in spirit, or a spirit guide, or someone you've never met before. They are saying this is something that you would remember. Now, of course, it's a very human thing to wake up and immediately go, what was that? Was that real? But if it's something that you remember right away, like you saw them, you heard them, or you felt them, they're saying it's a 90% likelihood that that was real, that that's a visitation. Because, like I said, when you're sleeping, part of you has let go enough to allow a visitation to happen. And especially when fear is a factor in, someone that might have spiritual gifts and feels like they're not ready to see in their waking environment, a dream could be a really nice kind of negotiation that spirit says, well, maybe I won't scare her if she sees me in a dream. So sometimes they're just trying to help you feel comfortable and meet you in a middle ground. Another thing that can happen while you are dreaming is astral traveling. And of course, if you are open to that, you could just tell your spirit guides, I'd love to go on an astral travel with you during my dream time. And so what that means, they could take you anywhere. And you could be doing soul work. You could be acquiring new skills. Your spirit guides could just be hanging out with you, spending time with you, they're saying. And also karmic work can happen during this time as well. So this just happened to me like a week ago. I dreamt of an old friend that I've lost contact with. And in the dream, I was telling her how much I missed her and how sorry I was. So sometimes that's your higher self meeting with their higher self to like kind of work things out for you. And of course, you know, your spirit guides are facilitating that and helping that happen. So of course, if you're open to that as well, you could just tell them, I'm open to any astral travel or karmic work that could be done during dream time for the highest good of all. And they will totally make that happen for you. Something I love to talk about is lucid dreaming. And if you guys know what lucid dreaming is, please tell me in the comments below, because I need to like figure out when to stop talking about it. It's one of those topics for me. Like I could just talk about it forever. But lucid dreaming is being like holding consciousness inside the dream state. And it's amazing. Some people just naturally do it. There are ways that you can learn to do it. If you're interested, I can share some techniques that I studied in college in my dreaming class. Yes, we did a dreaming class, but it was mostly like brain stuff. But there's techniques that you can practice and rehearse in your brain. And eventually the theory is while you're dreaming out of habit, your brain will check in and then you will realize that you're dreaming. But in case somebody here is practicing that or interested in it, I would encourage you to be patient and gentle with yourself, because the first few times when I was younger, when I realized I was dreaming, I got so excited that I woke myself up. But if you are able to hold on to that consciousness and have the dream, it is incredible. You can either kind of like write out the dream and see where it's going and like make decisions within the dream that's already been laid out, or you can just create your own dream. You could go visit anyone that you want. You could go anywhere in the world or the universe that you want. Something that happened to me, and at this point in my life, I don't know if it was like the time in my life and what I was going through or where I was living, but when I was studying lucid dreaming, I was having a lot of nightmares, like before the class started. So I would often become lucid. I would realize I was dreaming in the middle of a nightmare and kind of not know what to do. And everything that we had learned said it's best to face the nightmare. And y'all, if you have not experienced this, I can't even begin to describe to you how scary it is, because it feels so real, especially when you become lucid. Like, you feel the wind on your face, you like taste, experience, it feels like it's so real. And when like a monster in front of you becomes real, it is hard to go, okay, let's face this. But it's usually part of the subconscious that needs to be worked out. So I would definitely recommend, if you find yourself aware that you're dreaming in the middle of a nightmare, to embrace, is to just put that out there. If you're being chased by something, if you're like falling, if you just stop and say, I accept and I am willing to do what it takes to mend, to heal this situation, and you will. And it can be intense, but I promise it is memorable and it will stick with you. And the last thing they wanted to say about dreams, which is really sweet, is to pay attention to your waking dreams or your daydreams. So something that's coming into across your conscious desk is what they're saying. If it's like something that you're wishing for or that you're wanting that doesn't really make any sense, but you find yourself thinking about it, Spirit's saying you're thinking about it for a reason. It's not just a daydream. Just because something's called a daydream doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve your attention, that it doesn't deserve your heartfelt energy, because that's being placed there for a reason. So they wanted to bring attention to your waking dreams, which I thought was really super sweet. So those are the main points they wanted to talk about with dreams this week. Let me check in with you guys. Hi, Dawn, Connie, Lola. Thank you so much for joining me live. Dawn says, lucid dreaming sounds very interesting. Yes, it can be very healing too. Like if for some reason you fell out of contact with someone, or maybe they've passed away, you can actually visit that person. So it can be a really moving experience. Lola said, I had one of those dreams before. I didn't know what it was. It was the dogs attacking me. I remember you talking about that. I could smell them and I remember it today as it was real. Yes. So it becomes so visceral when you realize you're dreaming and you can't wake yourself up. It's like, oh my gosh. But again, and I know this is tough, but this might happen to somebody because they keep wanting me to talk about it. If you find yourself in a nightmare, understand that the best thing you could do for yourself and your healing is to simply face it, is to stand there and face it. And I'm going to give an example. That time I was just talking about when I was having a lot of nightmares, fighting's kind of a strong word. I was having a disagreement with my mom. You know, I was really early 20s. That's super normal. And I had a dream that she was in my apartment, but it like wasn't her. It was kind of like a monster. And it was, I can't even begin to describe to you how scary this was. And I realized I was dreaming as I was being chased. And I remembered this, that I needed to face it. And so I turned and I faced her, and she got right up in my face. And I told her, I love you. What's wrong? And then in my dream, she cried and said, I miss you. And we hugged. And when I woke up, I called her and we made up. So I know it's scary, but if you do find yourself in that situation, I really highly recommend doing it. Because as Lola knows, if you remember, if you're conscious in a dream, you will remember it. So far, forever. I've remembered every time I've been lucid in a dream so far. So let's go ahead and get into our week ahead readings. I feel like some really interesting topics are going to come up this time. So as usual, I will invite you to take a deep breath with me here. Just take a deep breath in. And an exhale out. And invite your spirit guides around you now and to ask, which group holds my message for the week ahead? You may see, hear, feel, or know that it's 1, 2, or 3. Or you may respond to one of the objects that I'm going to show you. So for group number 1, we have the citrine crystal. Group number 2 is this crystal. I believe this is called Sardonyx. Has a really beautiful pattern. It almost looks like a thumbprint in there. And group number 3 is my trusty Smoky quartz. You may see me holding something in my hands during these videos. It's usually this one. Okay, so for group number 1, if you chose the citrine crystal, let's go ahead and get your week ahead message. All right. So we're using 2 decks today, the Universal Rider-Waite Tarot, and also it's the deck that had the card in it that I showed earlier this week, Shamanic Medicine Oracle cards. All right. I always like to say that up front just in case someone's interested in getting these. Okay, so for group number 1, what do they need to know for their week ahead? I feel like you might be gathering information about something for group number 1, maybe doing your research, consulting an expert about something. Yeah, it feels like you're gathering sources, gathering pieces of information in order to make a decision, or maybe even book something. So maybe you're getting different offers first before you make a decision to do business with someone. Okay, so first we have the 6 of Pentacles, the 3 of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles. Lots of earth energy, lots of monetary focus for group number 1 this week. So things that will be in the forefront for the next week will be very practical things, very tangible, real life things. Again, something to do with finance may come up. But overall, these cards are really positive. In the middle, what they want to talk about most is the Three of Pentacles, which has to do with group work. It has to do with studying. Maybe you are thinking of taking a class or joining in a community. They're also talking about balance, and it feels like an energetic balance between feeding my introverted side and my extroverted side. So if you are communicating with a community, or if you are studying, they're saying it's really important to take time to yourself to make sure you're digesting it in that way as well. But overall, with this coming week, there's going to be some slow, steady progress. So maybe it feels like there's a process that you're in the middle of that it's like you want it to move a little faster, but that it's going a bit slower. And Spirit's saying that is by design. It's nothing to be worried about that things are not working out faster than maybe you had originally planned, but it's moving at a specific pace for your highest good. So that could mean that, you know, your spirit guides are looking out for you and protecting you from a couple different things. But let's get some more information here. Let's get some guidance from the Shamanic Oracle about what's going on with group number one's financial situation. All right. What does group number one need to know about their week ahead? I'm also seeing something about advice. So it's like being able to give advice and take advice at the same time. It could even be a spirit kind of roasting you a little bit, like, you give such great advice, why don't you take your own advice? Okay, let's see. All right, so for group number one, they wanted to have 2 guidance cards. All right, we have Middle World. I don't see this one very often. And Lodge, Council. Oh my gosh, what did I just say? We were just talking about that. So that is all about seeking counsel, seeking advice. And we had just said, you give such good advice, why don't you take it? So Spirit's just giving you a very loving roast. And look at both of these images. We have 2 lines of smoke here. And so with that, they're talking about like a smoke signal and the importance of asking for help when you need it. I get the sense that group number one is the type of person that really enjoys doing things on their own and feeling independent and self-sufficient. But Spirit is talking about something that's going on in the present moment that you could really benefit from some counsel, getting some professional advice. Maybe someone, it could even be like an elder in your family or someone that's gone through this situation before. But they're talking about avoiding burnout and, yeah, recognizing that you give such good advice that it's totally okay and valid and necessary to seek advice when you need it as well. So those were your messages for your week ahead, group number one. Good luck, although you don't need it. These cards were great. So just keep in mind that even though slow progress feels slow, it's still progress. You're still moving forward. And that if you ask for help, help will show up. Spirit has got your back. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, so for group number two, if you chose the second crystal here, I'm trying to make sure you can see all these beautiful lines. If you chose the Sardonyx, let's get your week ahead message. Give this a quick shuffle. And already I'm hearing attitude. So you could be, it feels like, I haven't even pulled any cards out. So for group number 2, they're talking about a challenging attitude that you may come up against. It could be within yourself. You could just be having a bad feeling about something that's frustrating and you're like, why can't I just feel good about this? Or it could be someone that you're dealing with you feel like is having a negative attitude that's making things harder for you than they need to be. So let's see what that is all about with group number 2. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and clarify that it feels external. It feels like something you might worry about. Like if you know that you're going to meet up with someone, for example, and sometimes they just kind of have like a lot going on and do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're preparing to talk to someone that isn't always the most fun to talk to with peace and love. I'm hoping that's making sense, group number 2. Okay, let's see. We've got your cards. So we're starting out with the Page of Wands. And then we have, okay, the Two of Swords. And the Moon. Okay. Let me just take a look at this. You could be dealing with a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or you could be a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Okay, so the main thing going on, the main theme coming up for this week is a need to see the present moment. This card for me often feels like I don't want to make a decision. I don't want to deal with this. That's the kind of energy that I'm feeling coming from group number 2 about something. And it feels like it's because there's so many unknown elements to it that it just feels overwhelming to think about. 2 of your cards have the Moon in it though. So that's interesting. Maybe you'll get some messages at dream time. Maybe you will get some answers at dream time. But they are definitely encouraging you to just lovingly take a look. Just direct your gaze in the right direction rather than completely covering your eyes. So let's see. Let's get a little bit of guidance about what this situation would be about for group number 2. Maybe you were torn between choosing number 1 or number 2. That's something else I wanted to bring up is that, it's totally valid to resonate with more than one group, especially if you rewatch at any point. And for some reason, you're getting 3 guidance cards. So I feel like you've really been asking for guidance about this situation because they are giving it to you. So we have Sacred Sight, Upper World, and the South. Okay. So they're also bringing up, I know this card is not present, but they're showing me the Wheel of Fortune. And they're saying that things are turning in your favor, though it may not appear to be that way at this moment. So again, it feels like maybe there's this energy of, oh, I don't even want to think about any of this right now. Just like, I can't even be bothered to face this right now. But Spirit's saying the situation really is not as bad as you might be feeling like it is, or thinking it is. Swords is always mental energy. So there could be a negative thinking pattern that we're taking a look at in the week ahead. This could also have to do with the energy of anxiety, because in the upper world, this says future down here. And as a therapist once told me, anytime that your thoughts are getting caught up in the future, you start worrying. And that to me would translate to like an anxious feeling energy. And also, since we have sacred site, this might have to do with your purpose, or maybe with what you do or what you want to do in the world. And so maybe that's why it just feels like so overwhelming to think about. But again, there's an invitation to start. With the South, this lovely card right here, they're wanting me to talk about when I first started my shaman training, we start in the direction of the South because it is shedding things that no longer serve you. And it's on a physical level. So maybe you need to move. Maybe you need to go to like a doctor and do a procedure or something like that. Something to attend to yourself physically that maybe you've been putting off. But, I mean, this is a great card. And it says abundance down here. So, Spirit's saying, I know it may feel overwhelming, but if you just open up, again, ask for help. So maybe group 1 and 2 are linked if you were torn between those two. I think they are linked. Ask for help, and of course you will receive it, but all you have to do is simply begin. And that is it. You don't have to know every single step right now. You could just take one step and then look back at us, your spirit guides, and go, okay, what's next? And then we'll tell you. So those are your messages for the week ahead. Group number 2 with the Sardonyx. And also, they're reminding me again about the attitude thing. And it's just a really quick message, is that it's not personal. Even if it feels personal, it's not. And to just kind of allow that person, if you do come across somebody like that in the next week, just the kindest thing you could do for them is just hold space for them. You don't even have to really interact with that side of them, but just go, okay. So, interesting messages for group number 2. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, and then for our last group with the Smoky Quartz point, let's get our week ahead messages for group number 3. All right. Group number 3 already feels like it's tied to the sacral chakra. So working with the color orange this week might be helpful for you. Even eating orange foods could be helpful as well, specifically a tangerine. Okay. All right. I usually don't take reversals, but they came out this way, so I'm going to. So we're starting with the Death card and the 10 of Swords, both reversed, which we love to see a reversal in that case, and the 3 of Swords for group number 3. Wow. This is a big, painful cycle ending for group number 3. There is a transformation that's about to take place. There might be a bit of resistance to it. There might be a bit of resistance to admitting that something is actually over, which is totally human, totally normal. But we really want to let go of this cycle. We really want to let this end, even though it hurts. And I'm hearing the word merciful. So it's like they're asking you to be to have mercy on yourself and just let something end so that you can move on. Because these are painful. This is a painful, heavy situation that is trying to end. And for some reason, there's something that's holding on and kind of dragging out the situation. So for example, it could be a relationship that's ending. and maybe the person keeps reaching out to you, or there keeps being contact. And if that's the case, you may actually find peace and comfort in blocking that person, and not in a, not like in an FU kind of way, but just like a, I need to protect my energy kind of way. And I'm being urged to share this. I actually needed to do that about a year ago now. This is somebody that, we broke up and everything, the breakup went okay. But afterwards, there just continued to be a lot of contact, and it was just really, really painful for me. And I said, many times, I need to not have contact right now. I need to not have contact right now. And eventually I just had to block this person. And it feels really like icky, and I don't know, it's just like a really vulnerable feeling. And I'm hoping this is resonating for you, group number 3, because they're having me talk about it. But just knowing that you are doing that as a self-care move, as a move to protect your healing, helps. It helps to have that perspective about it, because it's almost like a wound is trying to scab over and the other person's like reaching over and like picking it up. I know that's disgusting, but that is the visual that they are showing me. So let me get some guidance cards for you, group number 3. I'm so sorry that you are having this experience. Let's see what guidance they have. I can definitely relate. I was in the energy of transformation, or the death card, for quite a while there. I'd say for maybe 5 years. Okay. So, we have purpose again. We have sacred site again. East. And journey. Wow. If you're in group number 3, your spirit guides want to take you on an astral travel. So if that is something that you are interested in, make sure that you affirm that before you go to sleep. That's that message there. And there's a lot of kind of orangish, goldish colors going on in your cards. So if you are open to it, I'm going to go ahead and send you a little bit of healing energy to your solar plexus and to your sacral chakras right now. So if that is something that you're open to, especially if this is you, group number 3, because these are, these are some emotionally painful and heavy cards. Just affirm that I receive healing from Meredith's reading right now. I will hold your crystal and I will go ahead and send that energy to you. They also want to bring up, while this healing energy is flowing, they want to bring up 2 spirit guides, the spirit guide of the jaguar and the spirit guide of the hummingbird. Those are 2 spirit guides who would like to work with you individually. One-on-one is the way they're saying it. So if you would like to work with them, that is something that they want to do with you alone. So maybe that's something that will come up in your dream. Or it's something that you could simply look up, jaguar meeting, hummingbird meeting, but both of those are wanting to come to you and work with you, which is really beautiful that they showed up for you so suddenly. Okay, so the middle card is the card of the East, the card of emergence. And this is all about connecting to the realm of spirit. So in order to release this ending and actually let something die and decay away, they're saying when you connect to spirit, it helps immensely. It's almost like you might have been feeling stuck in this cycle, group number 3, where you're like trying to figure out the last steps of something, but you're not quite sure what it is or how to do it. And Spirit saying there aren't any steps left. Like, it is done. We just need to actually let go of it. So the more that you connect with Spirit, the more that the letting go just naturally happens. And your spirit guides really want to surround you with love. They're showing you being held in a golden ball of light, which is all about the heart chakra and golden healing energy. They really love you dearly. Whoever you have on your spirit team, they care for you a great, great deal and have been seeing all this mental and emotional pain, and they're really wanting to reach out to you. So one last note for group number 3, because I can really relate to this. I've been in a similar spot a few different times in my life, but especially with dreams this week, they're saying, think of your dream time as a tool. So if you're feeling anxious or depressed or just bad during the day, if you're just like, I just can't even have a spirit guide meeting, I just don't even want to think about it, I don't want to pray, I'm tired, whatever the feeling is, Spirit's saying it's okay to acknowledge that, and it's okay to just let yourself feel bad for a little bit. It's actually part of the process. But what you can do is right before you go to sleep is just tell Spirit, hey, I would love to work with you during dream time. I recognize I'm not super accessible during the day because I'm not feeling well. Would you work with me on this different realm? Which is really beautiful. It's kind of like, they're calling it like a mental loophole. Like when your brain and your heart are in so much pain, it can feel difficult. It doesn't mean it is. It can feel difficult to communicate with Spirit. But they're saying, use that other time as a tool, or offer it to Spirit as a tool. Like, hey, again, and maybe you're having repetitive thoughts as well, because that's starting to happen too. It just feels like the same thing every single day. And Spirit is going to help you end that cycle. They just need to be invited in to do so. So if that was you, group number 3, my heart really goes out to you, and I hope that the healing energy and guidance that Spirit offered you today was of some comfort or of some help. And if you ever need someone to talk to on a personal note, you could talk to me, because I understand. So those were your messages for the week ahead. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. All right, just checking in. Lola says 1 and 3 right on the dot. Awesome. I love when Spirit offers up messages that really, really resonate. It's really moving and really exciting to be a part of. So thank you for inviting me into your world. And I hope everyone has an excellent week ahead. On a side note, they want me to mention this. I am looking at a different place to live tomorrow. And if you remember from my other Spirit Wisdom Wednesday, I love moving. So I know that's super bizarre, but the place just kind of came out of nowhere, really synchronistically, and it's beautiful and historic, and I'm excited. So I hope that you have really exciting things happening in the week ahead as well. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.